get to know the intricacies of provincial races in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao and how they become a microcosm of national politics. Joining us via Zoom is Arjan Aguirre, faculty member of Ateneo de Manila University's Department of Political Science, and attorney Michael Henry Yusingco, senior research fellow at the also Ateneo Policy Center, now live via Zoom. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Hi. Thank you for inviting me for this morning's coverage.
All right, so tell us, Gretchen earlier was talking about voting behavior and how millennials and Gen Zs really make up the majority of voters for this midterm elections. What kind of voter behavior can we expect from the new generation of voters? Let's go ahead with Arjun first. Yeah.
Okay. So for one thing, we can expect that the new voters will try to, support the new candidates. That's number one. We expect that, their support will be given to, the new candidates for the senatorial race, even at the local races. So that's number one. Second, we can also expect that the new voters will, try to reveal, new patterns, new ways of, showing how, their preferences might be influenced. Like, for example, if there's a candidate who is into social media, or, perhaps, they can give that support to these candidates. So again, those are the basic, trends that we can expect with these new voters. And it happens all the time. Every election we have new voters. That's why with these new voters, this also adds to this, unpredictability of electoral outcomes, especially, a portion of, the total number of voters, registered voters. We can expect that, new things might come up. And we can also say that, the undecided voters are also the new voters. Perhaps that's the number 3 point about the new voters. These are, voters who have yet to make up their mind. And yes, you're right. Today, we can expect that, they will make up their mind in the precincts later.
Okay, Henry, we'd like to get your thoughts on this because when you talk about elections nowadays, most of the noise is really on social media. Now, we know that everybody is on social media across all the age groups, but who is likely to, actually discern the content that they get? Kumbaga, sino yung mas victim sa fake news?
So first, good morning to everyone, no? And good morning to all the listeners and viewers of the program. Now, based on studies conducted by colleagues in the Policy Center, I would say the most vulnerable to online disinformation would be the young people. And not because of lack of cognitive abilities, no, more of it's the hubris that they feel, no, that because they think that they are so adept at navigating social media, is that somehow they get hoodwinked by online disinformation because of that hubris. No? And of course, the traditional thinking also is that the older generation, like my generation, are also vulnerable to online disinformation, not because of hubris, obviously, but because of the inability to use or to understand these new technologies. So vulnerability to online disinformation is across the board. No? And that's really the danger of online disinformation, that it has many victims, and the victims are victims because of diverse reasons.
Okay, professors, I know this midterm elections is overshadowed by a greater issue, and that is the rivalry of the Duterte and Marcos camps. If we contrast that to 2022, it was a different story. The Marcos and the Duterte camps were one team. They were a unit team, and they were able to convert votes from the solid north and the solid south. But this time around, it is a different story. Of course, we're expecting the solid north to side with the Marcoses, the south to side with the Dutertes. But which are the provinces that could be converted into their favor? I mean, which areas should we look at, apart from the most vote-rich provinces that we mentioned a while ago? Ano ba yung tingin ninyo sa napapansin ninyong galaw ng mga kampo? Saan ba sila nagpupunta, no, to get those swing votes, as we would call them in other countries?
Sorry, Arjan, I think you're on mute.
Okay.
There.
So from my observation, I think we can say that the Marcoses, they don't really have a candidate for the senatorial elections. If you're going to look at the list of the candidates of the Alianza, I mean, majority of them are in fact, coming from other political forces, like for example, Soto, Lacson, Pacquiao. We can say that Abalos, perhaps, is one of the closest, candidate to the Marcoses. So that's number one. So we can expect that, this division between the North and the South won't really matter. But for the Dutertes, again, I am expecting that the Mindanao votes will really deliver. That's why if you can, see in the past, or recent surveys, many of the Duterte allies or, known candidates from the Duterte camp are beginning to, gain some support. And again, we're expecting some of the new names, in fact, to win this electoral cycle. So that's my initial observation. But again, I'd like to think that, perhaps this division will matter. But again, based on my initial analysis, yeah, I don't think that would, really happen in this electoral cycle.
But while we're talking about the solid North, I mean, the question is, will they also deliver for Amy Marcos even amid the fallout between her and her brother, the president? Attorney Michael? Yeah.
So, first, let me say that it's unfortunate that this is the prevailing narrative of this election, no? That we are somehow trapped in this thinking that this is about Marcos versus Duterte. No? And it's unfortunate because if survey firms are to be believed, there's still a big chunk of the electorate that do not belong to either side, right? So there's about 30% of the electorate who are quote unquote independent. So it's not sort of helpful to be stuck in that kind of frame of mind that this election is about solid North or solid South. No? So I actually agree with Professor Arjan that that idea, that binary, is probably only good for the solid North and the solid South. No, but for the rest of the country, I think those that do not belong to either side will have that leeway or that freedom to choose whom they want today. No, so areas beyond the solid North and the solid South, which I would say would be Visayas and Metro Manila, I would say that these areas are probably going to vote according to their own discretion, not to be influenced by that narrative of solid North or solid South.
Okay, guys, okay, I think that's been resolved. So let's focus now on Visayas. We talked about Luzon, we talked about the South. Now Visayas seems to be what Gretchen is referring to as the swing state, kung meron man tayong ganun, no? Visayas, of course, headed by Cebu City, headed by Governor Gwen Garcia, 3 million voters, that's a lot.
Bicol region also,
but
right there.
How do we gauge where that will go? Because Governor Gwen has shown her independence. Sometimes you really can't read which side she's on. She has her own mind. Does she really have an impact on the way that Cebu will vote? And because Bisaya rin yung mga taga Cebu. So you could say they're pro-Duterte maybe. But then President Marcos's mother is also from Leyte, also Bisaya. So how do we, make sense of that? Maybe you can go ahead, Arjan.
Okay. For the Visaya voters, Visayas, yeah, we can say that number one, they're not really monolithic or homogeneous. I mean, don't forget that you have Central Visayas, you have the Negros Island, of course. You have Central Visayas, and in the past electoral cycles, we have seen that they have delivered variably. I mean, we can expect that for this electoral cycle that the Cebu province will probably deliver their votes to the Duterte faction, because the Garcia family or the Garcia dynasty is known for being a political player. And with this midterm elections, I'm expecting that they're already eyeing for the presidential election of 2028. And with the Marcos dynasty, they don't have this strong political successor. I'm sensing, or I'm expecting, that the Garcias will you know give their support to the Dutertes. So that's number one. Now for the other main provinces in the Visayas, we can also expect that their support will be given to non Duterte or non Marcos candidates. Like in the past elections, we have also seen that Western Visayas supported the pink candidate. So I'm expecting that this province will deliver their votes to candidates like Bama Aquino or perhaps Kiko. So again, that's my thinking about the voters in the Visayas region.
Actually, you already mentioned it, no? The pink votes, the Bicol region is part of that center,
Yeah.
together with the Visayas. And in 2022, it was a close race between Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Leni Robredo, with 5 million votes apiece, with BBM or PBBM edging her out by 100,000 votes. And lately, we've been seeing politicians swinging by Bicol to get the endorsement of VP Leni, and she has endorsed Ben-Hur Abalos, Manny Pacquiao, but we did see VP Sara also visit. What is your take on that? How powerful is the former vice president now, and of course Bicol region? Michael?
Sorry. Well, as far as the potency of the former vice president's endorsement is concerned, I think in her region that will have some positive effect. No, but really for this midterm elections, really what I think is worth considering, at least as far as assessing how Visayas voters will sway, is really the idea of the equity of the incumbent. No? So I think voters, and particularly local politicians, will use that as a main gauge, no? That the incumbent can give a lot of benefit to them, especially given the looseness of the administration with ayuda politics. No? So local politicians will probably look at that as an opportunity for them, as Professor Arjan alluded to earlier, an opportunity for them to further consolidate their chances for 2028. With the administration's way of distributing ayuda, that might still happen more frequently in this second half of the president's term. I think that's an opportunity. They see that as an opportunity that they can use to further boost their chances in 2028. So for me, it's not really the endorsement that matters, but it's more of local politicians leveraging on this idea that the administration because of their, ayuda politics style now, is that they can use this to help them in 2028 and maybe even further than that.
Well,
Interesting point.
but of course, we do know that the top voter issues for voters are centered on gut issues, mainly like job creation, healthcare, food security, education, and the rights of workers. But we'll get to that later as we move on to the opening of the polls